You're listening to the CyberWire Network, powered by N2K.
When it comes to ensuring your company has top-notch security practices, things can get complicated fast. Vanta automates compliance for SOC 2, ISO 27001, HIPAA, and more, saving you time and money. With Vanta, you can streamline security reviews by automating questionnaires and demonstrating your security posture with a customer-facing trust center. Over 7,000 global companies like Atlassian, Flow Health, and Quora use Vanta to manage risk and prove security in real time. Our listeners can claim a special offer of $1,000 off Vanta at vanta.com/cyber. That's VANTA.com/cyber for $1,000 off Vanta. Biden bans Kaspersky over security concerns. Accenture says reports of them being breached are greatly exaggerated. SneakyChef targets diplomats in Africa, the Middle East, Europe, and Asia. A serious firmware flaw affects Intel CPUs. More headaches for car dealerships relying on CDK Global. CISA alerts over 100,000 individuals of potential data breach in a chemical security tool hack. SquidLoader targets Chinese organizations through phishing. A new nonprofit aims to establish certification standards in maritime cybersecurity. A sneak peek of our latest podcast, Only Malware in the Building, and using the court system for customer support. It's Friday, June 21st, 2024. I'm Dave Bittner, and this is your CyberWire Intel Briefing. Happy Friday, and thank you for joining us. It is great, as always, to have you here with us. The Biden administration announced plans to ban the sale of Kaspersky Labs antivirus software in the U.S. due to security concerns over Russia's influence on the company, Reuters reports. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo emphasized that Russia could exploit Kaspersky to steal sensitive data or install malware, especially given the software's deep access to computer systems. Kaspersky's clientele includes critical infrastructure providers and local governments, raising further alarm. Kaspersky claims the decision is politically motivated and intends to explore legal options. The Russian embassy did not comment, and Kaspersky maintains it is privately managed without government ties. The new rule will take effect on September 29th, blocking new sales, downloads, and updates of Kaspersky software in the U.S. Additionally, 3 Kaspersky units will be added to a trade restriction list, complicating its international operations. This move aims to eliminate risks of Russian cyber attacks and continues the pressure on Moscow amid the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Senator Mark Warner supports the ban, arguing it's unsafe to allow Russian software access to American systems. The new restrictions also prohibit the sale of white-labeled products containing Kaspersky software. Sellers and resellers violating these rules will face penalties. However, software users will not be penalized, but will be encouraged to switch to alternatives. In a follow-up to yesterday's report, Accenture has addressed the claims made by Breach Forum's user 888, who alleged possession of data on just under 33,000 current and former employees. According to Accenture, their analysis of the published dataset revealed only 3 employee names and email addresses, with no additional information linked to the company. Accenture reported no indications of system compromise, but stated that investigations are ongoing. This response comes amid concerns raised by 888, a known leaker responsible for multiple high-profile cyber attacks. A Chinese-speaking cyber espionage group, SneakyChef, has targeted the ministries of foreign affairs and embassies in at least 9 countries across Africa, the Middle East, Europe, and Asia, according to Cisco Talos researchers. Using non-public government documents as lures, the group aimed at Angola, Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, India, Saudi Arabia, South Korea, Uzbekistan, the U.S., and Latvia. SneakyChef employs the Sugar Ghost remote access tool and a new Trojan, Spice Rat, to conduct their operations. These findings indicate a rapidly evolving and aggressive hacking campaign targeting key geopolitical hotspots. There's currently no conclusive evidence linking the group to a specific government agency, although some activity aligns with Chinese state-sponsored groups. A firmware vulnerability in Phoenix Secure Core UEFI, affecting various Intel processors, allows local privilege escalation and arbitrary code execution within the firmware. This flaw, linked to an unsafe getVariable UEFI service call, could lead to a stack buffer overflow. Discovered on Lenovo ThinkPad laptops, it affects multiple Intel processor families. Phoenix and Lenovo have issued updates. While no exploitation in the wild is reported, users should check for firmware updates. Following up on this week's reports of car dealerships in the U.S. being unable to serve their customers due to cyber attacks targeting SaaS platform provider CDK Global, the company has issued a new warning to customers about scammers posing as CDK agents to gain unauthorized system access. This caution comes after 2 cyber attacks on June 18th and 19th forced the company to shut down its customer support channels and take most of its systems offline. In response, CDK set up toll-free lines for status updates, but warns customers to avoid communications with anyone claiming to be a CDK representative seeking system access. Customers should not perform DMS tasks and stay alert for phishing attempts. CDK has no estimated resolution timeframe yet, but assures that digital retail application data is secure. CISA has notified participants of the Chemical Facility Anti-Terrorism Standards Program about a data breach involving the Chemical Security Assessment Tool hacked in January 2024. Attackers exploited an Ivanti Connect Secure appliance zero-day vulnerability. The breach potentially affects over 100,000 individuals, with compromised data possibly including personal information, security assessments, and site security plans. Although no data exfiltration was confirmed, CISA advises impacted individuals to reset passwords. Facilities are requested to notify affected people or provide contact information to CISA. The breach, considered a major incident under FISMA, exposed sensitive information related to chemical security. Researchers have discovered a new malware loader, SquidLoader, targeting Chinese organizations through phishing emails. Disguised as a Word document, it employs advanced evasion techniques to avoid detection, such as obfuscation and using expired or self-signed certificates. SquidLoader downloads a malicious payload, often Cobalt Strike, via HTTPS, which achieves persistence on the victim's machine. The loader's sophisticated methods include encrypted code sections, dynamic API resolution, and complex control flow obfuscation, making it challenging for security analysts to detect and analyze. The newly announced International Maritime Cybersecurity Standards Organization, IMCSO, a nonprofit supported by industry, aims to solve several key issues in maritime cybersecurity. Currently, ship captains lack the time to assist cyber auditors, and the variety of assessment methodologies creates unnecessary complexity, overheads, and delays in providing risk and technical audit results to port authorities and insurers. This inconsistency leads to confusion and inefficiency in evaluating and managing cyber risks. IMCSO seeks to address these problems by standardizing cybersecurity assessments and certifications, ensuring that evaluations are conducted uniformly, safely, and effectively. This will streamline the risk assessment process, making it easier for stakeholders to understand a vessel's cyber risk and provide a reliable registry of certified cybersecurity suppliers and professionals. Ultimately, IMCSO aims to improve the overall resilience and compliance of the maritime sector to cyber threats. Speaking of the maritime sector, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security is enhancing maritime cybersecurity in the Indo-Pacific region by partnering with Indonesia under initiatives from the U.S. Department of State and the Department of Defense. This agreement, part of the Comprehensive Strategic Partnership, aims to protect maritime critical infrastructure and improve the resilience of the international maritime transportation system. DHS and Indonesian authorities conducted a cybersecurity tabletop exercise and workshop to strengthen incident response capabilities. This collaboration emphasizes information sharing, operational coordination, and joint efforts to counter cyber threats, ensuring the safety and security of global maritime activities. Coming up after the break, a sneak peek of our latest podcast, Only Malware in the Building. Stick around. Struggling to secure on-prem apps with modern identity? Don't worry, you're not alone. Join industry leaders from Fortune 500 organizations to secure your apps on any cloud with any IDP, regardless of your environment's complexity. Meet Strata's identity orchestration platform, Mavericks. Say goodbye to the headaches of app refactoring and legacy tech debt. With identity orchestration, you can modernize legacy apps to use MFA or passwordless authentication in a few weeks, migrate from one IDP to another, and so much more without changing the app. No matter your IAM use case, Strata extends the value of your current identity investments. And the best part? You can try it for free today. Visit strata.io/cyberwire to share your biggest identity challenge, and they'll hook you up with a complimentary pair of AirPods Pro. Don't miss out. Visit strata.io/cyberwire. That's strata.io/cyberwire. And now, a word from our sponsor, Zscaler, the leader in cloud security. Cyber attackers are using AI in creative ways to compromise users and breach organizations. In a security landscape where you must fight AI with AI, the best AI protection comes from having the best data. Zscaler has extended its zero-trust architecture with powerful AI engines that are trained and tuned by 500 trillion daily signals. Learn more about Zscaler Zero Trust Plus AI to prevent ransomware and AI attacks. Experience your world secured. Visit zscaler.com/zerotrustai. We are pleased as Punch to have premiered a new podcast titled Only Malware in the Building. The show features yours truly, our own Rick Howard, and Selena Larson from Proofpoint. Here's a preview of the show.
Today, we're talking about the curious case of the missing Iced ID. Iced ID is a malware originally classified as a banking Trojan and first observed in 2017. It also acts as a loader for other malware, including ransomware, and was a favored payload used by multiple cybercriminal threat actors until the fall of 2023. Then it all but disappeared. In its place, a new threat crawled, Latrodectus. Named after a spider, this new malware, created by the same people as Iced ID, is now poised to take over where Iced ID melted off.
I'm a little bit grossed out about all this. First, Iced ID, NRT, that you mentioned at the top of the show. Does that mean there's a spider in the cup also? Oh, my God.
No, but I highly recommend not Googling this malware name, especially if you have a fear of spiders like I do.
I'm sorry. I was just enjoying a delicious dip. Selena, I want to apologize that Rick and I were both late to this recording session. We were waiting for Rick's dial-up to connect.
I just upgraded my modem, Dave, so I don't want to hear any crap about how slow I am on this particular episode.
Sure. Okay. Absolutely.
Guys, we have to be cool. Think about our audience.
Well, let's start out, talking about Iced ID. So what is Iced ID, and how did it originally emerge into the cybersecurity landscape?
Iced ID has been around. Like I mentioned, it was initially classified as a banking malware. It was first observed in 2017. It was really part of that banking Trojan family. There was this era of cybercrime where you had things like Bursnif, Iced ID, Drydex all came on scene that were classified as banking malware. They were going after banking credentials, real money. And then it started acting as a loader for other malware, including ransomware. It was used by multiple prominent initial access brokers. So essentially those threat actors that are trying to gain access to compromise a system and then deliver ransomware. Emotech, for example, was seen delivering Iced ID.
Can I just pause and say that the reason I love cybersecurity is that all the cool names that we come up with to describe all this stuff. I mean, you rattled off of maybe 9 different malware names, right, that is on the tip of the tongue of everybody. And that's the reason I'm here. Okay, Selena.
You know what? I feel like it has gone slightly overboard, though. It's hard to keep them all in my head. There's just so many, and the names are so chaotic.
Yeah, I wish there was one organization that could take responsibility for being the defining name, because every malware actor has half a dozen different names. Mm-hmm. And very often it is my job to say them all and keep them straight, right? Which is not easy.
Well, even Iced ID was AKA Botbot in the early days. So there's even malware has multiple names for the same type of malware. You have to keep them straight.
Sounds like a robot chicken.
Yeah. What I love about it, though, is we have malware names and we have hacker names, we have hacker group names, and sometimes they're the same names, right? And then it's like, talk about getting confused, okay? I have no idea what we're talking about most of the time.
Oh, Rick, you don't give yourself enough credit. Selena, I think that it is safe to say that Rick is a security genius. Mm-hmm. Not particularly true, but safe.
Hey, I am in the presence of greatness right now.
Oh, stop. Go on.
Please, tell me more. Tell me more.
Yeah.
Only if you'll share your dips, Dave.
Okay. No, I'm sorry.
It's not enough.
Well, you obviously haven't read my contract. There'll be no sharing of the dips. So, all right. So we've talked about Iced ID. So what happened to Iced ID? Do we understand the circumstances of how it just fell off the radar?
That's a very good question. So it was pretty prominent, and back in early 2023, we actually saw a new variant of Iced ID called Iced ID Lite. It kind of removed some of the functionality of the initial type of malware. So we thought that continuing development, going all in on this type of malware. And then in the fall, it really just sort of stopped appearing in campaign data. We were asking ourselves at Proofpoint, fellow researchers being like, hey, what's going on? Because the actors that use Iced ID, these initial access brokers, they're still active. And it coincided, the fall of Iced ID sort of coincided with, in November 2023, this, new malware that kind of came on the scene. And initially people thought it was another new variant of Iced ID. But great, this is interesting. But it turned out to be something completely different. It was Latrodectus, but suspected to be developed by the same folks who created Iced ID. So this top dog of initial access malware that had been used for so long just sort of disappeared, and in its place rose Latrodectus.
Did Latrodectus have some sort of significant upgrade to it that caused them to abandon the other one? Or, it seems weird that we just take something that was working and go to something different.
Great question. Not really. And actually, if you ask my colleague Pim Trurbach, who did all of the malware reversing on Latrodectus, he thinks it's a little basic. He's not very impressed
Wow.
with this particular malware. He would like the threat actors to try a little bit harder.
Oh, don't say that.
To make things more fun for him.
Yeah, let's taunt them, Selena. That would be great for all of us.
You're right. I know.
So Latrodectus is the version of me dialing up to the internet with my modem? Is that what you're telling me?
I don't know if it's quite that, because it's still a payload that's used by initial access brokers, right? Like, we're still seeing it being used by threat actors, although not as much as ICE-ID, which is kind of interesting. ICE-ID was really up there, like with Qbot, right? Like, you had these sort of, frequent, highly regarded malwares, highly used malwares that typically led to ransomware. ICE-ID we saw like throughout its life cycle, leading to Maze, Sodano, Kiwi, Egregor. The DFIR report just published a couple of posts recently about it, going to Nokoyawa, Dragon Locker ransomware. So, it was really kind of a key component in many, many ransomware attacks. So it's kind of interesting that, it just sort of like fell off the landscape. And Latrodectus came back. We only see it with a couple of our threat actors, but it's still like, you're still trying to figure out like what comes next. ICE-ID was so prominent, and then it just kind of disappeared. And now we're all kind of seeing like, okay, what's going on?
So what's the main takeaway here, Selena? Is there common protections for Latrodectus, or does it mean something specific if you see that kind of thing in your environment?
So I would say that with Latrodectus in particular, I have to say the community has really come together to do a lot of really great research into this particular malware. Proofpoint actually published a blog in collaboration with Team Cymru looking at this particular malware and its infrastructure, and that was pretty interesting to see a lot of some of the overlap with historic ICE-ID operations. But when there is something like an initial access type of malware that is identified, that's always something that should be sort of like a high priority, investigation. Like, as we've seen historically, certainly with ICE-ID, things like Qbot, the access to ultimate ransomware delivery, the relationship is there. And I think the DFIR report recently came out with an example of an ICE-ID infection with the time to ransomware being 29 days. It's the whole cycle and the activity is there. There's going to be likely, especially if we're talking about initial access brokers, there's going to be, the initial malware delivery. There's going to be data exfiltration. There's going to be lateral movement. They're going to try and, spread themselves as much as they can before actually leading to ultimate encryption. So, yeah, I think the jury's still out on like what does Latrodectus mean, but it's a great example of the continued experimentation of initial access brokers, the continued use of new tools, new resources, trying to adopt new techniques to see what works best. And they're always out there trying to compromise computers and make as much money as possible.
Well, Selena, thank you for sharing all of this information with us. We are excited to be part of Only Malware in the Building. Rick and I, we do have to run. We are meeting up later today to play a exciting game of Pong together. So
I believe I'm ahead, Dave. I believe I'm ahead.
Well, right. But before we do, we both need a nap. So thanks so much. And we will see you here next month.
Thanks, you guys. I'm very much looking forward to it. And thanks to you, all our listeners, for tuning in to Only Malware in the Building.
Be sure to subscribe to Only Malware in the Building wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Enterprises today are using hundreds of SaaS apps. Are you reaping their productivity and innovation benefits, or are you lost in the sprawl? Enter Savvy Security. They help you surface every SaaS app, identity, and risk, so you can shine a light on shadow IT and risky identities. Savvy monitors your entire SaaS attack surface to help you efficiently eliminate toxic risk combinations and prevent attacks. So go on, get savvy about SaaS and harness the productivity benefits. Fuel innovation while closing security gaps. Visit savvy.security to learn more.
Estou passando nesse podcast para dividir uma informação que fez toda a diferença na minha vida. Quer fazer pós-graduação, mas tá impossível correr de um lugar para o outro?
Pois é, ainda mais com o trânsito.
Então você precisa conhecer a educação à distância do Senac. Sabia que é nota máxima no MEC? E tem diversos cursos de pós-graduação para te levar ainda mais longe. 100% online, sem necessidade de TCC e com acesso direto a todos os professores.
Ah, saber isso fez diferença sim.
Inscreva-se já na pós-graduação EAD. Quer saber? Senac EAD.
And finally, Ray Palena took drastic measures last month, flying from New Jersey to California to confront Meta in San Mateo's small claims court. After 8 months and $700 in travel expenses, he managed to reclaim his hacked Facebook account, something Meta's customer support utterly failed to assist with. Palena's story is part of a growing trend of frustrated Meta users turning to small claims court. Engadget found out that out of 5 people who sued Meta in small claims, 3 successfully regained their accounts. Some even received financial compensation. Why the courtroom drama? Meta's customer support is virtually non-existent. Their help pages send users on a wild goose chase through automated tools and dead-end links. It's enough to drive anyone mad. Valerie Garza, a massage business owner, faced similar exasperation. After her business's Instagram was hacked, Meta's absence led her to court, where she won $7,268.65 in damages. Meta didn't even show up to the hearing. Their legal team tried to overturn the verdict, but Garza stood her ground and prevailed. For those without a financial stake like Palena, the frustration is still real. His hacked account was being used for scam listings, damaging his reputation. Small claims court became his last resort to get Meta's attention and secure his profile. Despite the hurdles, small claims court offers a beacon of hope for those exhausted by Meta's non-existent support. Filing fees are low, and the process doesn't require legal expertise, making it accessible for many. Users like Palena and Garza show that sometimes you have to take matters into your own hands to get results from the tech giant. And that's the CyberWire. For links to all of today's stories, check out our daily briefing at thecyberwire.com. Be sure to check out this weekend's Research Saturday and my conversation with Carrie Schaefer-Page from Arctic Wolf. We're discovering their work Lost in the Fog, a new ransomware threat. That's Research Saturday. Check it out. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. Your feedback ensures we deliver the insights that keep you a step ahead in the rapidly changing world of cybersecurity. If you like our show, please share a rating and review in your podcast app. Please also fill out the survey in the show notes or send an email to cyberwire@n2k.com. We're privileged that N2K CyberWire is part of the daily routine of the most influential leaders and operators in the public and private sector, from the Fortune 500 to many of the world's preeminent intelligence and law enforcement agencies. N2K makes it easy for companies to optimize your biggest investment, your people. We make you smarter about your teams while making your teams smarter. Learn how at n2k.com. This episode was produced by Liz Stokes. Our mixer is Trey Hester, with original music and sound design by Elliot Peltzman. Our executive producer is Jennifer Iben. Our executive editor is Brandon Karpf. Simone Petrella is our president, Peter Kilpie is our publisher, and I'm Dave Bittner. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back here next week. This September 18th and 19th in Denver, a tight community of leading experts is gathering to tackle the toughest cybersecurity challenges we face. It's happening at MWise, the unique conference built by practitioners for practitioners. Brought to you by Mandiant, now part of Google Cloud, MWise features one-to-one access with industry experts and fresh insights into the topics that matter most, right now, to frontline practitioners. Register early and save at mwise.io/cyberwire. That's mwise.io/cyberwire.